As you can well imagine, they are about to give the performance of a lifetime, but there's still one last obstacle that stands between them and that dream ticket. That, of course, our judges. Our judges come to us with a long list of impressive credits, and they run the gamut from Broadway to television to the inner workings of the recording industry. First up is someone who has headlined stages all over this country, from Tinseltown to O-Town. Give it up for my man, Jimmy B!
What's up, Greg Hester?
What's up?
What's up, everybody? Come on! Listen, it sound like a finale up in this here.
They're ready, man. They are ready. Next up is, well, a lady who's done it all. From stage to screen, it's the beautiful and talented Miss Lisa Glaze!
Thank you, Greg Hester. Hey, everybody! I'm a lady, and I got a whole whip machine chicken.
On the end is a veteran of the entertainment industry who has done it all as a director, producer, and performer. Let's hear it for Jonathan Barr!
Thank you. It's a pleasure to see most of you.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, great audience, as you can see, in the top 5 backstage. Ready to go?
Best of the best, baby.
That's right, Jimmy B. What about you guys? Studio audience, you ready for finale? Your daughter's in the audience with you.
That's correct.
Today. So after your preliminary show, you come out and you tell her that you made the finale. What does she think about this for you today?
Man, I think I got a lot of hugs. It was awesome.
Wonderful.
Just totally just engulfed with love.
Good, good. We're going to kick off this show for us. You ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
There we go.
All right.
Kiss up early. That's the way to do it. There you
Oh,
go.
no kissing.
Here she is, getting you started with Undo It. This is Lisa Edwards.
Should've known by the way you passed me by, there was something in your eye and it wasn't right. I should've walked, but I never had the chance. Everything got out of hand and I let it slide. Now I only have myself to blame for falling for your stupid game. I wish my life could be the way it was before I saw your face. You saw me happy, you made me cry, took me lonely and took me for a ride. Yeah, I wanna do it. You have my heart now, I want it back. I'm starting to see everything you like. Oh, you do it, you do it. I wanna do it. Na 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 na. Come on, everybody. You are my future, can't have it. Still trying to erase you from my past. Need you gone so fast. You saw my happy, you made me cry. Took the lonely and took me for a ride. Yeah, I wanna do it. You have my heart now, I want it back. I'm starting to see everything you like. Boy, you do it, you put it do it. I wanna do it.
Yes, Lisa Edwards, getting you started. Here we go for the first time. Let's go to our experts, Jimmy B. Get us started, man. Talk to her.
What up, boo-boo?
What up,
We must be a couple, because the last time I checked, Jimmy B was pretty awesome, mama. You know what I'm saying? How you doing? All right. So here's the deal, okay? Really nice voice. Did we like her voice? Really tough Carrie Underwood song. Great way to open the show. Could have used a little more, you know what I mean? Little more that you did me wrong, so I took your Visa card and charged $10,000 worth of jewelry on it behind your back. You know what I mean? Just a little more of that, left vengeance in there. But really good vocal, baby, all right?
Oh, seriously, good vocal. No, come on, give her what she's due. Here's the thing, this is a tough song to sing, especially live, especially without backup behind you doing it. And you did it, and it was great. I'm going to disagree with you just a little bit, because I think with songs like that, where it's kind of that feminine energy, if it gets a little angry, it turns people off. So you have to be a little bit playful with it. Yeah, but yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I thought you did a fabulous job. Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, Lisa, I agree. Carrie Underwood, I mean, it's not easy, and that's the thing, is that she has so many different things going for her. You know, December 5th, we're doing Sound of Music Live with Carrie Underwood and a bunch of cast of characters, including Audra McDonald and a couple other theater people. The thing with this song, though, it needs to take it to the next level, and with that, I think it is the breath control, and that kind of throws everything off. But honestly, I think besides the pitch, the phrasing, and the breath control, it was great.
Here's how the voting's going to work. Doesn't matter. If you want to vote for Lisa, her number's the number 1. When it's time to lock your vote at the end of the show for Lisa, remember that number 1. Way to get started. Great job. Good luck to you, girl.
Thank you. Thank
well
you,
done.
guys.
This show for 5 years. Because of you supporting us helping dreams coming true, you make our dreams come true. That is sincere. I don't like to say goodbye, so on behalf of all of us here at the American Idol Experience in Walt Disney World, we will see you real soon. Have a great night, everybody.
Everybody, thanks so much for listening to Fire Breathing Rob. If you're listening to us for the first time, please subscribe, like, and share this. If you have already subscribed, definitely hit the bell to get more updates. Appreciate you listening. And we have somebody that's been in acting all over the country, but mainly in Orlando now. That's where I found out about her, through the American Idol Experience, but also a lot of shows that she's doing now around the Orlando area. She has been in movies too, and Bring It On 4, and she's just finished her master's degree quite recently, I'll say that. This is Lisa Glaze. Lisa, thanks so much for coming on. Greatly appreciate your time tonight.
Oh my gosh, Rob, I love that introduction. Thank you so much. Hey!
Okay. All right. So let's kick this around. So can you tell the viewers that don't know you a little bit about you and what made you want to become a performer in general?
Sure. So I've been in Orlando since like 1997. Before that, I was in Texas. So I think I'm officially now like Floridian more than Texan, because I've spent more than half of my life in Orlando now.
Nice.
But yeah, I think you there's those kids that are weird and they're lovely and wonderful. And I was one of those kids, you know, I just like doing shows for myself and making other people watch and doing shows, and just enjoyed the attention because I didn't get enough as a child. Right. So yeah, I think that's just kind of interesting. And then it's like, you know, like something, the first show I saw, my mom took me to see, it was Oliver in Beaumont, Texas. It was like a community theater thing. And I was like, I got to do that. Okay. So it's just kind of done that. It's not the only thing I have to do, but it's definitely one of those passions. You know, you just kind of know, you're like, that's what I want to do. I want to say, Lisa, can I have some more?
So Lisa, you know, growing up and doing this, you know, throughout high school, you know, when did you get that first feeling that you were going to be professional in this? When was that first break, I guess I should say?
I don't know if I ever knew I was going to be professional. But I remember in high school, I used to sleep a lot. I'm a night owl. And I remember going here, I don't even know if they have them anymore, where they have those kind of like school, I wouldn't call them therapists. What is it, like
guidance counselors
or something? Yeah, counselors or whatever. So there was one year I wasn't interested in school at all. It was drama, sleeping all the time. And the counselor wanted to talk to me, like really talk to me. And he's like, what kind of job do you think you're going to, but he had a Texas accent. What kind of job do you think you're going to do, girl? Where are you going to sleep all day? And I went, actor. And it's like, you're never going to do that. That's never going to happen. I would love to see him now. As I smoke my fake cigarette between my fingers. It's invisible. No, but it was weird. And it's because I never really thought about like, what do I want to do? There's so
Right.
many things for people to do. And I hope kids are looking at it like that now too.
Yeah.
You don't have to
Right.
do one thing. But it was, I think it was when he had that conversation and he was like, what do you think you're going to do in your life? And I was like, actor. Ha. And here I am. As far
All right, so I guess we're going to go into something that we talked about off the air, and I just want you to speak about being part of the actors union in general. And I know that obviously during COVID, they really stuck up for the workers as far as safety. But can you talk about the union? Because a lot of people that listen to this show are, more to the left. They do know what unions are, but there are a lot of people that are young people that listen to the show that don't know what unions are. So can you talk about the union you're involved in?
Okay, so there's for actors, there's a few unions. So when I mentioned SAG earlier, which is what you'll usually work for. There is non-SAG work, but SAG is for film. So it's Screen Actors Guild.
Right.
So they'll take care of that. There's also AFTRA. California has a different union for their theater actors, and then there is Actors Equity Association, so the AEA, and they take care of New York Stage. They take care of if there's theaters in the country that have AEA, they'll have a certain contract that that stage has to work under, and the same thing. So Disney actors also work under an AEA contract. So that's going to be for your stage actors. What was your question? I was just explaining. All I did was explain the different unions. And there's probably a couple I'm missing. Those are the big ones though.
No, so, when we talk about unions, a lot of people that are younger people don't really know how unions help people as far as wages, safety, and all the other things that happen. That's, what unions are really good for in this country.
Okay, well, Rob, I'm going to get my business hat on you because I do have my bachelor's is in business administration. Right. So unions usually, if we're going to go into a philosophical conversation about it, unions were great way back when, when people were working in factories and all that stuff. So when people are being physical, that's kind of when unions do things that are great to make sure people are safe. So when you are you're being physical when you're performing, right?
Right.
And when you're using your body a lot, what that union will be, let's take, for example, the Actors Equity, which takes care of stage people. Let's say you're dancing or you're doing a stunt or whatever, and they're out there watching and you can only do so much, and they'll go on the behalf and negotiate with whatever stage you're performing on and say, okay, so they can do this many shows, they can do it for this long, right, and that's their max. Or they will need they need a dressing room here, a private dressing room. They need a green room for a break, and it needs to be this and this and this. So they go in and just kind of make sure about that. There is, I think with a rate, there is a starting rate and then built in for contracts, and every contract's different. So it's really hard to like pinpoint just very general because every stage is different. What a performer does and what they're supposed to do in a show is very different. Right. But there is a set rate, they can't go under a certain rate. There's a starting rate. And then there's also a built-in yearly bump for cost of living. So that's part of being in that contract. Did that make sense?
No, it did. So you have you have a leading role in your show, obviously. So with the leading role,
right, Rob, I'm the leading lady in my show.
So with the leading role, and obviously you've been at the company for quite a few years. We'll just say that.
Rob, you can say I've been there almost 25 years. Okay. It'll be 25 years next May. Can you believe it?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So being there that time and obviously having the leading role, do you have like for instance, say, obviously there's quite a few shows around where you work, we'll just say, because I don't want to I don't know how far we can go with that. So we'll just say there's quite a few shows around where you work. if you wanted to, like the show you're at now, if you wanted for some reason when your contract was up, say, hey, I want to try a different show in this, in this area, could you do that? Or do you have to negotiate? Or obviously there has to be a spot open. How does all that stuff work?
I think there's different ways to do that. There's no one set way. That's why it's difficult to kind of answer this. So let's say that I saw something else I wanted to do where I work right now at that particular theme park.
Fair enough.
So if I saw another show and I'd be like, man, I really want to do that. I think I could do that. Hopefully they would have auditions. So you would go auditions. I can still be doing the role that I'm doing at the stage I'm doing, but if I'm interested in something at another stage and they have an audition, I can go audition for that. And then I can tell those folks at the audition, I would love to do this. And maybe it's something, if I wanted to have it as a permanent change, or if it's something that I wanted to do as what they call a sub, which I would just do it every once in a while when they needed somebody, then I could tell casting and say, hey, I'm really interested in this. If I'm right for it, I would love to be considered to go over if you ever needed help. Or so there's different ways to do that. I could tell the stage managers at my stage, hey, I know if you know over at this stage, because a lot of times actors might float from stage to stage, because we can all, a lot of people are very talented. They can do many different things. So we have people that work at another stage that come over and do our show every once in a while too. So let's say one of those people is like, oh, I really like the show that you're doing. I'd like to be here more. So they'd probably talk to their stage management and said, I love this. I would really love to do this other show more. And then they could talk to them. They could also, again, talk to casting and then just see where that goes. But there's also a whole nother level up above where casting is placing people where things are needed. So it's like Tetris. So if we can play, like if we can plug this person could do this person would be good in that. Okay, we need this person over here. We need this person, but it's a big Tetris game. But they will listen and say, hey, if something comes up and you're right for it, we will listen and we will hear you say that you are interested in it. That doesn't guarantee anything, because who knows what's going on that you're not seeing where they're playing the Tetris game, casting. But you absolutely can say, I'm very much interested in trying this.
Obviously, the pandemic happened. They shut all these places down in March. How did this affect your bottom line? I've talked to quite a few performers that I know personally that work in different spots, and they were really struggling hard.
Yeah. Well, it did hit, because it's not only do I have my full-time gig there at Disney, but I also did other outside gigs. Yeah. Not with Disney, you hustle. When you're an actor, you hustle. You hustle, boy. And so I was able to just, because everything was shut down and you're basically just staying in your house and you're paying for electric and you're paying for your rent or your mortgage or whatever. I was able to do it, especially with unemployment. I also had the benefit, and it's a weird benefit, but my mom had passed away and she had left me some money, some stock. And so I was able to pay off my car with that, which helped with the car payment, which was about $300 a month, I mean, if you really want to talk about money and numbers. And so that saved me a lot, like it was so sweet, because it's a weird thing, because it was like almost a gift, like I'll actually go out and touch the car and I'll be like, thanks, Mom. Just, because it was horrible how it happened, but it was a gift, and that actually saved me. And then I also sold some stock to just kind of keep up with stuff that I needed to keep up with. Yeah, because then I had to get, it's awesome, the pandemic, and then I needed a new roof because I had a roof leak, and then I had a leak under the floor. I had to get a new floor, and insurance paid for some of that, but so did my mom. So I was fortunate. I was fortunate that way. I actually had something in my back pocket.
So going back to work, obviously you're with the union and you've been with the union for quite a while. I'm sure you know a lot of people in the union. What were they telling you as far as precautionary ways? Were you nervous to even go back to work, because a lot of people didn't get vaccines until April?
Right. So let me say this. I'm not in the union anymore. I used to be.
Oh, okay.
No, and then recently I've stopped being in the union, but I was in the union when all of that was happening. And me, and this is just me, and everybody has a different perspective. I was not scared to go back, but I think, you know, if we're going to talk about that, looking at people's psychology, some people are more risk averse than others. I happen to not be. And it just depends on what it is. Like if it's something that, like if it's my pets, I'm never going to risk it. If it's me, I'll risk it. So it's just different people's backgrounds, their programming. I wasn't scared. I was actually ready to go back to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
Other people weren't, and that's absolutely fine too. This is something we've never dealt with before. It's a very weird situation. Definitely a huge learning for everybody. And yeah, and hopefully a lot of good will come out of it.
This is Lisa Glaze here on Fire Breathing Rob. Lisa, as we keep going into the interview, I do want to talk about being on stage. So as everybody that's listened to this podcast, when they do listen to it, they'll know that obviously Lisa is extremely funny. And I'm laughing getting that out.
Rob.
Yes.
It's too much to live up to. Stop.
Okay. So, you know, being funny and obviously performing on stage, and you know, we're performed in these shows. You know, we're going back to the Comedy Warehouse in Pleasure Island, which is now Disney Springs, and also the American Idol experience. Where do you feel like you got your humor? Is that like a family trait, or is that something that you learned just through, you know, theater and acting in general?
I think it's when I was a kid, and I found out very quickly that humor diffuses tension, right?
Right, true.
And I would diffuse tension a lot with humor. And then when people laugh, it's addictive. So then you just keep trying to find ways to do that. So I think that's where that stemmed from. And that came when I was a kid, which was weird because I was also very much like a shy introvert kid. So when you had these little bursts of like, hey, rocka, break the tension. And then it was like, ta-da! And they're like, oh, the power. So it's good. Yeah. And then that just kind of continued. And then you've got to laugh at everything because it's not that serious. Everything is not as serious as you think it is. Yes.
Very true. So going into that, like you've done shows where you do the same material 5, 6 shows in a row.
Do the same material. Yes. Yes.
So how does that work? Does that ever like you're on stage and you're saying the same stuff and it's like the same regurgitating? It's like you're throwing up the same stuff.
Oh my goodness.
And how do you get through that? Is it like when you're with the other person, you try to like make it somewhat fun, especially if you have these big wigs that are watching you?
Sometimes. It also helps because the show that I'm doing right now, it is what you quote unquote would call a book show. So your script where it's like, I'm used to doing improv where it's like, I'm making it up by myself. And so what helps with that is working with different partners. So you don't work with the same person every day. Sometimes you might even not work with the same person in a day. And so that helps change it up because everybody, even though it's a book show, everybody has their different way of doing things, and they might slide a few little jokes in there that are their own. And honestly, like I will work one day with one person, and then the next day it helps to keep my brain active because I have to remember, oh no, okay, this person does this. I've got to work around that because I like to manipulate what I'm doing based on what the other person is doing. So it helps keep it fresh for me to do that. And then sometimes people will come in and they'll throw something at you that they hadn't done before. And you're like, whoa, all right. It's something a little bit different.
Yeah, but like my thing is like, you know, you worked with Ben, you guys had good camaraderie. But when you work with somebody else that doesn't have the same kind of camaraderie and working together like that, how do you kind of adapt, especially if you're doing like 3, 4, 5 shows in a row with this person?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, definitely there is a natural chemistry between between different people.
Right.
Some of it's automatic. With Ben, there was something automatic. It was an
Yeah.
automatic relationship. I have that with a lot of people. Some other people, you can work and finally get that to where you're comfortable. And then some people, it's just go. But the way you have to look at it is you're building a different skill.
Mhm.
So let's say you're working with somebody that you don't necessarily just have that 100% chemistry with, where you're just clicking and all that stuff. So that's an opportunity
Mhm.
to learn how to work around that person, and then how to try to get to where you're clicking a little bit more. It's definitely, it's not easy, it's not hard, but even when you have really good chemistry with someone, even though it's easy, you still want to make sure that you're finding the little gifts so it doesn't become repetitive. Because I think it's easier to do that with somebody you have really great chemistry with, as opposed to somebody that you're still working on your skills and you're not resting on your laurels. So they're
So,
both good. They're both good things.
so like when you go on stage and you're with this crowd, and I used to see this at Idol sometimes. You go to that first show, the 12 o'clock show, and everybody sucks on stage at singing. But regardless though, and but you're in the audience, and there's like the first like 4 or 5 rows are filled, and then the rest of the theater is like empty. And this kind of goes to more to what the show is that you're doing now. When there's like 4 shows that are, I mean, when you go to the show you're at now, I would feel like I'm trying to say this without saying the names.
No, I'm very much enjoying listening to you try to work your
Yeah.
work your way around not actually saying
Yeah.
titles.
So the show you're at now,
Yeah.
I remember going to that show, and the last show sometimes was dead. It was completely dead.
Oh, yeah.
And there's like 3 or 4 rows that are full, and then the rest of the theater is dead empty. And half of the
Oh,
people,
yeah.
you do the joke, and no one laughs, and it's
That is
really bad.
theater. That
Yeah.
is theater.
So how do
That
you
is
get through
everything.
that?
You just get through it. You just do it. And it's, you know what? Sometimes it's kind of wonderful when you have a small audience and they are enjoying it. Let's say you can kind of win them over, and they're getting a whole special experience that they wouldn't have gotten
Right. If it
with
was
a huge
packed,
group of
yeah.
people, because the focus is on them. As because, as you know, the show that I'm in right now, the theater is huge.
Yeah.
So you are constantly scanning back, up, down, looking, trying to give people attention. Where, let's say, if you have a smaller audience, and yeah, it might be quiet because you want people to interact in the show that I'm doing, right? A little bit, because you want them to like sing songs and all that good stuff. And they might be a little bit more shy without all of those people. But who knows what their experience is, even though they're being a little bit quiet. They may be having the time of their life. Now, they may be sleeping. But yeah, I think you just have to look at it like that, is you've got to change your show just a little bit and make it more personal.
How was it working with Ben, by the way?
Anyway, I knew Ben. I knew of him. But then whenever we met, again, like it was just like an instant chemistry thing where it was mischievous energy, which is good and bad. But fun. Nonetheless, it was fun. And he was just a hoot, and he's kind of wild and will just try things. Remember when I was talking earlier about like, hey, how much risk? What do you like to risk? And he likes to risk.
Yeah.
So that was a match made in heaven or hell, however you look at it.
But did he do improv before? Or I know he has his comedy show now, but go ahead.
He said that he used to go to Comedy Warehouse all the time and watch. I think if that show were still open, I think he could have totally done it.
Yeah.
Like he's just funny. And I don't know if he's actually ever done improv. Now, we did a show like outside of the parks, like our own show, which was an improv show.
Oh,
and
just you and him?
No, it was myself, 4 other people, and Ben. So Ben kind of hosted it, but I had to push him to play. And he's like, I don't know if I can. I'm like, Ben, you totally can. Just get up and do it. And he did it, and he was great.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just having to discover it for yourself and be like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah. So let's go into Idol. I mean, obviously that was, I discovered Idol because I'll tell you the first show I went to, it was SJ, I think it was Carol, SJ, and Rainey.
Okay.
And I went and see that. And, it's almost like the same characters that were, with Simon Cowell and Sarah Goose as Paul Abdul and Rainey as Randy Jackson. So, and I went in there and I said, this is pretty cool. So then I started to come back. This is going back to maybe 2010. So a year after they started. When did you first start doing Idol?
It was in the inception. So we
you started in 2009.
So I do believe there were 3 deep full-time of each. So the Carol Saragusa role was the one that I did, which is kind of the encouraging, nice, but still, with whatever your critique, just be encouraging. So it's Carol, myself, and then Angela.
Okay.
And the 3 that you were talking about Rainey. So he was more of the neutral, but hip cool. So it was Rainey, Jimmy B, and Patty.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember Patty? So she was the Patty DePova.
Oh yeah, Patty, the Asian girl. Yeah.
Yeah. So Patty. So she was like the cool hip, and then you had the 3 Simon type judges. Yeah. So we all trained in together.
Who was the 3? Because Jimmy B did. I was there when Jimmy B was the 3rd seat before.
Whoa, dun, dun, dun. Yeah, every once in a while we might switch it up. You never know. So I think that was Simon. I think that was Philip, and I do believe David Piggott were the first 3 where we all trained in together.
I don't know David Piggott, maybe by face, but
he's Australian, or is he New Zealand? Oh no, he's Australian. You should never mix them up. Australian, New Zealand. Don't ever mix them up. I'm pretty sure he's Australian. David, if you're listening, you're Australian. I'm sorry. Sorry, not New Zealand.
So, but what made you want to do the show, though? Was it just because it's kind of fun, laid back? You can kind of say whatever you want. It's not like scripted.
The clothes, the heels, the hair. It was like the cool show to do then.
Yeah.
It was like a new show. It was something new. It's something different. They'd never done anything like that. So, of course, I wanted to be a part of it.
Right. So I was talking to a lot of the ushers that used to work there, and they loved Greg Hudson. Well,
Greg is amazing.
Yeah, Greg. I like Greg, but he was the woman with Jason Greg all over the shows. Every girl that I knew that was an usher at Idol would talk about Greg Hudson the whole time.
Yeah, I'll have a crush on Greg.
Greg's getting married, or did get married.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, so good for him.
Well, somebody got him. He's off the market, ladies. Scratch that one off the list.
But how did they approach you about Idol, though? Did you know that was coming through the pipeline, or how was that all?
It was an audition.
handled?
So when they have auditions, they'll send out notices.
Okay.
And so I went to an audition.
But what show were you doing before that?
So I was doing over at Epcot in Interventions. There was a show called Hook and Loop, the Velcro show. So right when Comedy Warehouse closed, a few of us went over to a show, and it was a little show. You want to talk about a little intimate theater, but it was fun. And it was sponsored by Velcro, and it was Hook and Loop. And there were 2 hosts, and one was Hook and the other one was Loop. And we kind of played games and kind of showed like the product. So anyway, that was going on. And then the audition notice came out for American Idol. So I was doing that. And lo and behold, I got the Idol thing, and it was like, this is awesome.
But why were all the people, and maybe you felt like this too at Idol when you were the judge, and I know a lot of people saying listen a lot for the that was in the 3rd or the 5th spot, whether it was the finale of the regular show. And there was a lot of repetitive songs. This Is Me was a lot with the younger girls. The Climb. So a lot of the people that were the ushers would say to me, we hear the same songs. Meanwhile, you know, you're in a show now where you hear the same songs 4, 3, 4, 5 times a day.
Would you
So
believe me if I told you I didn't really hear them anymore? Would you believe me?
yeah, they just don't, you zone out.
Sometimes I don't hear them anymore. Sometimes I totally do,
Yeah.
and sometimes I don't. Yeah.
But was that an effect with you at Idol that you would see these people, whether girl, guy, older man, older woman, come up there and sing the same songs?
We did have repeat customers, quote unquote.
Jimmy Barkin, do you
They
remember
would
him?
sing the same songs. I do remember him. How could I not? He was
Him and
there.
his daughter were there all the time.
Yes, and you know, it's like I get what they're doing though, because they're trying to perfect
Yeah,
something that's important to them.
yeah.
So even though you hear the same songs over and over again, when you step back from it for just a second and look at the human element of it and realize something else is going on, it's not just about them singing a song. They're trying to do something to better that. You know what I mean? Like that was a goal for them, was to either win or to, and some of these folks that were return customers and maybe did sing the same song. And I shouldn't be using return customers, but I'm using that as a joke.
Right.
But they had their own story going.
Yeah.
And they would even say, you know, oh, I changed this technique, or, you know, like I really was working on this. Like I've been working on this. It meant so much to them that to sit back and go, oh, they're singing the same song again. Sure, they're singing the same song again, but there's a whole nother element going on that's super important to them. And I think you have to think about it so you don't go crazy just hearing the same song again. You have to like look at it that way and say, this person is really trying to do something. Pay attention.
So let me ask you this though, when you know you had a lot of repeat customers, but there was a lot of new faces obviously that did it. I mean, this is going on for 5 years. So was there ever someone you saw, maybe they didn't look the part, maybe you figured they weren't gonna sing the correct way, and this person all of a sudden sang and you were like, wow, like this is pretty good?
Oh, there's always, those are the best, those surprises, because we put in our head, oh, you got to be this way to make it work, and then somebody comes and they just blow your socks off, and it's like, now that's awesome. Yes. No, I was just gonna say, as far as the people getting up there and do it, all the power to them.
Was there anybody you still remember? I know this ended in 2014. Is there anybody you still remember?
Do I still remember people?
Like, not that you worked with, like somebody that sang that maybe, you know, made it fairly far in Idol, or maybe made it to Idol in general?
There were a couple of people that made it to the show.
Yeah, quite a few.
I don't really remember who they are, but I also can't even remember what I had for lunch. It's like that now. I am old.
So let me go ahead.
Yeah. No.
No, I was just going to ask you.
I remember Louise. There was a lady, Louise, who would always come and sing.
Yeah, English lady, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was there the last.
Would always be there cheering her on, and that was their thing. That was their family thing.
You know, I remember the last shows, because like I told you, I went to every show the day that it closed. And Jimmy Barkin was there, his daughter was there, Louise was there. And I remember at least those three that will always consistently have, you know, went to Idol in general. I know they were all there. And I think Louise made it to the finale. I remember some young blonde girl won. I don't know how old she was, but I know Louise was there, that girl. I think it was all woman, actually. Anyways, that's in the past. And there's no effect.
In the past. But I will say, like, just being there, we did have some pretty extraordinary singers come through.
Right.
And whether or not they went to the show, I don't know. They might have just done it just to do it. But we did have some phenomenal singers as well.
I always try to vote for the youngest person in the finale anyway, just because if there was a lot of older people, even if they were good, they couldn't use the ticket. So what was the point? You know what I mean? I'd rather have somebody that, at least, even if they weren't going to make it, at least to give them, like you said, that shot to
Give it a
do
shot,
it
yeah.
than somebody that's older that can't do it. And it's
Oh,
just,
that was nice of you, Rob. Look at you.
let's get to the end of the interview because we're going way past I thought we were
Okay,
going to
I'm
go.
sorry. I just will go, and then I'll take you on a loop, and then we'll finally get back to what you originally asked. But it's a long journey with me.
No, I appreciate it. I'm enjoying this. I just don't want to take up your time because I know you said this is your day off.
I still have another hour before I can walk my dogs. I tell you, my life revolves around them because it's too hot to walk them right now.
Oh yeah. Well, that's another reason.
Listen, and it burns the pads of their feet.
So I want to talk about the judging panel in Idol. Who was your favorite panel of people that you were on with? I guess
Oh
the
my
other two
God.
people.
That's not fair to ask. Rob, that's not fair to ask.
Well, this is in the past, so
This is the past, in the past.
yeah, let it go. Don't sing that. You're gonna hear that tomorrow, probably. You're gonna hear that shit tomorrow.
I gotta hear it when I'm sleeping. So there's somebody that I really enjoyed, and they were a sub. Just to bring up, I enjoyed working with everybody. To sound political.
I know. Right.
But there's somebody that we didn't talk about. Do you know Kurt Von Schmitto? And he would do the kind of Simon judge. But the way he did it was so sassy that it was hilarious.
Probably by face.
On the receiving end of what he was saying, you didn't care because he was making you laugh. Yeah. You know, like it was just so goofy, and he was so big about it. He was a hoot to work with, and that's somebody that I didn't get to work with a lot. Yeah. And then of course I never worked with Angela or Carol because we all did the same
job. Yeah.
Same role. There was one time I did pop into like the hip. There's one time I actually popped into warm up. Oh boy, I was terrible at that.
You did warm up?
I did warm up one time. I did warm up.
What year was that?
Like I know. I don't even. Oh, that was September 8th of 2012. Dear diary.
I hope not.
No, but I went out. I remember we didn't have a warm up, so I came out as the judge, but warming up. And I didn't, you know, like I'm just like, hey, everybody, I'm a judge. Get ready for some hooting and tooting and fun. Ready to toot. Raise your hands in the air. Woo! Do the wave. Are you ready for a show? I thought so. Bye.
The only warm-ups I remember was Mark Daniel, Cameron, Ali.
Yes.
There was a black girl that did it at the end. I forgot her name. I know she did the finale and a couple shows before that. I don't remember her name, but
oh my goodness, I can't.
You know who I'm talking about, right?
No, because we had a few people that would just kind of rotate through and do different things. So that could have been quite a few people.
Yeah, well, whatever.
You'd have to show me a picture, and I'd be like, get it done.
I got a lot of pictures and a lot of videos from old idols.
Oh my goodness! I hope you put a filter on it, and I hope you put it to make it look hazy, so I look younger. Thanks, Rob.
Anyways, can you tell me though about the judges? We wanted to get the answer to that. Who was your favorite judges to work personally with, like the panel?
I love everybody.
I know.
The person that I would giggle with the most, was Jimmy B.
Okay.
And there was one time we lost it because somebody was singing Walking in Memphis. And they were like, walking in Memphis, walking with my 10 feet off a Beale. Instead of walking with my 10 feet, something off a Beale, but it made it sound like he had 10 feet. And he was walking off a Beale. We lost it. We couldn't even, we were crying, couldn't get it together. And there were a lot of moments like that, where it was just something so ridiculous, and it would just take like a little push, and then we were over the edge, where we're like crying and my mascara is going down. What is it? Walking with my 10 feet off it. Walking with my feet 10 feet off of Bill. Walking with my feet 10 feet off of Bill. And this guy was singing walking with my 10 feet off of Bill.
And the words are right in back of the theater.
Oh my God. But people get so nervous.
Yeah, it's true.
People get nervous. They say like when you go on stage, half of your brain goes away, and it's true. It's really true.
So who was the third person though?
Third person, well, the third person was always a joy because they got to be the nasty ones, right?
Right.
So Simon was fun, Philip was fun, David was fun, Kurt Von Schmidt, who wasn't there a lot. Because he made me giggle. He was a hoot. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine if Kurt and Jimmy were on the other sides of me? It would just be a giggle fest. It would just be.
Well, Jimmy had the dresses down to the down pat with the leather jacket.
Oh, you want to talk about that?
I told Jimmy he had that Idol jacket. I think it was. Oh no, we were talking with him right before Idol closed. There was a thing on eBay, and it was a leather Idol jacket. It had American Idol Experience on the back. Do you maybe
the American Idol Experience jacket? Oh,
I don't know who's. I don't know. It was on eBay, and it was a couple $100. I think it was like maybe $400 or $500. I said we should. If I had the money, I would have bought that for Jimmy. He loves wearing those leather jackets.
Oh my gosh, Jimmy probably had the best and the most expensive clothes out of everybody in the cast.
But somebody took you there to like a store and they bought that.
Oh, we had
with you personally,
we had costumers. Yeah, we had costumers. So they would take us shopping, and they would fit stuff. And then once we did that, that was kind of in the beginning. And then when they did that and they kind of get your sizes, this was before they had those machines that you walk into and it scans your body and then you can see what your body looks like from every angle. And it's the most disturbing thing in the whole wide world. So you'd go and you'd do stuff and they would put stuff together and just kind of find a look, right? Yeah. And then once you do that, then you would put everything together. They would go get the jewelry. They would get this. They would get the shoes. And then take photos of that, and then the show director would approve whether or not they liked it. But Jimmy,
so what was the budget?
Oh, I don't know, because Jimmy B had the best budget of us all.
Really?
No, I don't know. He just had really good stuff. He had really good stuff. And Jimmy's very good about like, I want to wear this, where I'm just like, and they're like, what about this? And I'm like, I love it. Okay.
So he was the toughest person as far as dressing?
I want that. No, he was just the coolest and probably had the best clothes.
Yeah.
I think the judge threes, the Simony judges, the one that sat on that third chair, they had really expensive suits. I mean, the stuff it wasn't cheap. They put my look was kind of that Betsy Johnson, who's the designer that has more of the wild kind of clothes, like with the tutu bottom dresses and stuff like that. And I thought that was fun. Like I liked it then when I was skinny and could wear that stuff. And now I just eat and walk my dogs and then eat after I walk my dogs again.
So what was your favorite moment at Idol?
Oh my gosh. There were so many, but I think the most fun, the walking with my 10 feet off a Beale was pretty funny. There was one time, okay, so when I was at Idol, I was dating somebody that was very, very serious. Like I was like, oh, I'm going to marry this person. Anyway, we broke up.
Oh, wow.
And I remember being in the show. I was so down one day and like people were singing and I was like crying when people were singing. And then I had to like get it back together. But there was this it was a sub and I think his name was Roland.
Oh, yeah. I remember that name.
Yeah. Sweetest. This just made me, but this snapped me out of it. This is like one of those, because it's like personal stuff, but he snapped me out of it. And it was the funniest thing. And he's like, why are you so sad? And I'm like, he like, you're so sad. And I went, I'm just really, really sad, really depressed. And he's like, but you're so pretty. And it was so ridiculous that it just made me laugh and realize things were fine. You know what I mean? Like it was just the way it happened, but it was just the silliest thing. And it was like, I'm okay. That's one of those moments I'll never forget, but that was very personal. So of course I'm not going to forget it. But there was all kinds of stuff that would happen. Yeah.
Was there a lot of, we won't open up to people and names and stuff. Was there any drama in the dressing rooms with the group of people you worked with, men or women?
Rob, you work in a place with actors. There are actors.
Well, the hosts weren't actors though. Greg Hudson wasn't. I don't know about Chris Kim. Was he an actor? Or?
Chris Kim acts, yeah, he does.
Does he still?
Yeah.
He was
around.
he was in Hawaii or something with,
Oh, that dude travels the world now.
yeah,
He's just
I
going
was
living
following
his
him
best
for a
life.
while on
Yeah.
Facebook, and he's all over the place.
He is. He's just doing his own thing. Yeah, but I mean, it's like any workplace. You have the and then with like performers, you have emotional people because we emote. That's just who we are. We're emotional people. So whenever something happens, yeah, you're going to have a little bit of drama, and then it's going to go away, and then somebody else is going to have some drama, and it's going to go away, and that's just the nature of the beast. But that's everywhere you go. I just think like performers gets magnified a little bit more just because we're emotional people.
But did anything happen like behind the scenes, and then when you came out, it kind of amplified any days? Or?
I wouldn't say no. I don't, not at Idol. I wouldn't say that. At Comedy
Frozen.
Warehouse, it was some interesting, sometimes people, it was very interesting at Comedy Warehouse because I could be mad at somebody or we could not like each other. And then we go and do a scene on stage and it was one of the best scenes ever.
Yeah.
Because
Interesting.
you have this electrifying energy going on.
Yeah.
You know? So, and I would actually do the worst scenes just, you know, I know we were talking about Idol, but at Comedy Warehouse with my best friends or people that I was like, ha ha ha, jokey jokey, I'd have my worst scenes with them because there was no.
The people you didn't get along with well.
No, those are the people I'd have the best scenes with.
Right, right.
My friend, the people that were super friendly and it was like, do, 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 we would have the worst scenes because there was no like, I don't know, there was no push or I don't know. It's just very interesting. There was no fuel. I was like, let's just go do a scene. Okay.
When did you get, I want to dip into Comedy Warehouse, but let's end with Idol with this.
Yeah.
When did you first hear that Idol was going to be going away?
Let me think about this. It was kind of close. I couldn't tell you the year. I couldn't tell you the month.
Right.
I
Because it was
think-
supposed to close, sorry to interrupt you, it was supposed to close in January instead of August is what, you know, I've done some research on this. It closed in August of 2014. It was supposed to apparently close in January of 2015, but they moved that forward.
Yes, I remember something like that. I remember there were two, it was announced and then it was going to be a certain amount of time. And then we got a second announcement saying it was going to be less amount of time. And I was in Savannah, Georgia for one of those. And I can't remember if it was the first announcement or the second announcement, but I remember thinking, oh, I can eat now.
Oh, geez.
Because like I don't have to fit in a little dress. I was with my sister and it was kind of one of those things. It's like, oh, you know, it's devastating too.
Yeah.
You know, because you start to worry about stuff, but 'tis the life of an actor. A show closes. That happens all the time, right?
Right.
But I remember I was like, let's go eat. I remember going, the news that night, we went on a ghost tour, like in one of those, was it a hearse? I can't remember. So we went on a ghost tour in Savannah and I went down to that, like by the river, they've got all these candy shops and I just got a huge thing of candy and I'm just eating it, like thinking like, okay, what am I going to do next? And just enjoying the candy and looking for ghosts. So that had to have been the last announcement. They must have announced it before because I don't think I would have gone over the edge with food like that. But like, you know, you have to stay a certain, like they buy you costumes, you have to fit in them.
Right, right, right.
So, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to eat some food. And I did, and I haven't stopped.
But why did Idol close? Was it because of licensing? Was as far as the song, the American Idol in general? No,
I couldn't even tell you. That is probably information that we will never know.
Really? Well, I was told that
up at the level, and then you know, here's the thing, Rob. Like you'll hear a lot of stuff, and these decisions are made way above us and way above even our management. Decisions are made at the top. And then people can say, oh, it was because of this. And that might be true. But a lot of times when people say stuff like that, it's not really what happened, or it's not even 100% of what happened.
But it does make sense though, Lisa, because Idol actually went off the. It's back on the air, but it went off the air right after that, and
Yeah,
then I'm sure they were paying money for the licensing, because obviously it's not a Disney property that was being owned, and then the songs, all the songs that they had in the catalog was money. So I'm thinking that maybe that might be the full on, not the full on reason, but that had to be
That's
some sort of.
probably a factor. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's all kinds of, but it's
So-
hard for me. Like, I can't answer that question because I honestly don't know. I'm
Right.
not.
No,
withholding
that's fair.
it. Like, there's just some stuff where it's like, that's just how it went. Oh my goodness.
There's people that go and see you now at the show you're at now religiously, and they follow you. But in the American Idol, the Candyman does.
I don't know if I'm really one to follow. I'm pretty boring.
The
Did I tell you
Candyman
about my
follows
life yet?
you.
Have I told you about my life? I let my dogs out and then I eat.
Hey, listen, the Candyman follows you still.
I love the Candyman.
We used to. My family and I should say, really enjoyed when you were on because we knew it was going to be a funny show and not dry. And no offense to the people that also do it, there's some really tough people that do it sometimes.
It's subjective.
Yeah, so I tell the truth. Plus, also we're partial to you because we knew you from Idol in general.
Yeah.
But my thing was, and I saw this at Idol, there was quite a few of people that would go to Idol consistently. I'm not talking about the bark-ins and try out. I'm talking about people that would consistently go to that show. I know I went, my family went, the Candyman went. There was other people that would sit in the front. I remember the last couple shows, there was a couple of families that would hold up signs, "We love Jimmy," Lisa, and stuff that.
Yeah. Oh, those were sweet people. Yes.
I forgot their names, but regardless.
Yes,
I feel like there was such a following, and that's why a lot of people that were doing that show when that ended, maybe they were really down because it was a following. Like people, knew like Lisa Glaze is on, Jimmy Braswell's going to be doing it, and Philip Nolan or whoever was doing the three. We like these people. Greg Hudson's hosting, we like Greg. Or Chris Cam, we like Chris Cam. So people came to know that, if I said, hey, Jimmy was doing a show. Hey, Jimmy, are you working tomorrow? Yeah, I'm working this show. So we're going to come and see these people. Yeah. So that's why people would follow those people more towards the shows now where there's not as much of a following because it's a different show and it's the same show. You may do different bits and pieces, but Idol couldn't have been the same show because it's always different people.
No,
it's always different songs. Some people may be really good, some people may suck, but it's always different. So that's why Idol was special to me because you're always getting that different experience. Whereas you go to these other shows that are in the Disney parks or wherever, Universal too, it's the same show. Even if the people up there put a little bit of a different twist, it's majority the same show.
Yeah. No, you're right. Because it was a unique experience every single American Idol show.
Right.
And that's I think that was the magic of, I keep bringing up Comedy Warehouse, but Comedy Warehouse was an improv show. So you're never going to see the same show. And then you had a cast you had 5 people on the stage and you would sometimes never see those 5 people even the same night. We would switch out. So you'd have different people in shows. So you never see the same thing. And just talking about people following. And now I remember like at Comedy Warehouse, we would see the same people. They would come on their certain nights. They would sit in the same spots and they would stay for all the shows.
Well, it's like going to a sporting event almost, or going to a theater show. Yeah. Those people like you, they enjoy you. We're going to keep coming back.
Yeah. And I've done that before. Like before I even got into improv, I remember going on, it was the very first Disney cruise boat. Somebody invited me on. They had worked on the ship. And she was like, do you want to cruise? I get to bring somebody. And I'm like, heck yeah. And there was a show on the ship called Barrel of Laughs. And it was an improv show. And I remember going to see one show. And then I ended up seeing every single one of their shows. And I felt like a stalker but I just enjoyed it so much, and I connected with everything that was happening. And that's what's happening with these people that come to the shows too. So even if they are coming to a show, like the show that I'm in right now, which is a book show, which is scripted, let's say you make a connection with somebody. Like for me, I'm just going to bring it up. Like I can watch Impractical Jokers.
Yeah.
And I've seen the same ones over and over again, but I love the guys, you know? And as I'm watching them, even though I know what's going to happen, I might find something a little bit new of what they did that I might have missed before. And I've seen the same episode and I'm still laughing at it like it's the first time I've seen it, because in that regard, now I'm connecting with the people, not exactly what's going on with the show. So I think there's different ways of that, but I think it's much easier. Yeah, you can come back and watch show after show after show if they're going to be different.
Yeah, and I agree with that, but I think there was the following, because like you said, you guys put your heart and soul into the show. And I mean, you're putting your heart and soul into the show you're in now, but it was the different show. Like you said, it was different. And people related to you,
and we
Jimmy,
were
Greg Hudson.
We were
Angela.
Yeah, we weren't playing a character. We were us.
Right.
On stage. So you
So
got
I
to
think
be
that's
that
why people
person, who that person is, and not playing a role.
So end off with this, with comedy, and with Comedy Wheelhouse. So, you know, talking about Comedy Wheelhouse, like I said, I wasn't really brought up with that. And even to backtrack, I want to tell you this about Idol. I never watched American Idol, period, on the TV.
What?
But
Oh my gosh.
but I went to American Idol Experience, and that was like the best thing ever for me. It's still my favorite show that was ever at Disney. But I would never watch the show on TV. I thought it was a total joke. But I would go there and I'd film that show and I'd watch it at home. But because it was more realistic to me.
Because you're not watching something that's been filmed and edited.
Right.
You know what I mean? And put on the show. You're in it now. Like you're actually a part of it.
Yeah.
And the thing about American Idol is it was legit.
Yeah.
At the studios. Like you saw the camera guys with the things hooked around them, and you saw that camera doing this, and you saw that everything was live, and you were seeing it from this perspective. You weren't seeing it from a television perspective.
And
so
we saw you.
I get what you're saying, because you're involved.
And we saw you dance to I Got the Music in Me many times.
Oh my gosh, that was my favorite part. I loved it. I don't know if you noticed, I am a brilliant dancer. Never had a lesson, self-taught. And oh my gosh. Oh, there was one day I fell down during I've Got the Music in Me. Oh, there's a story. I should have brought that up. Totally forgot about that till I just started talking about it, because you know they use these heels.
Yeah. And
I'm just a country girl that goes barefoot everywhere. And so here I am trying to walk in these heels, trying to look like a real lady. And then I'm like, I got the music in me, clunk. And I went down on all fours. I looked for it on YouTube, and nothing. I thought it was the funniest thing. I've also fallen a few times in the show that I've done because I've tripped on the cape or you know what I mean? And I was just like, oh my goodness. And then once you fall in that dress, you're not getting up for a second, because you fall on the dress and there's so many layers that are shiny material that you might as well just like go on your back and be like a doodle bug and just wait for somebody to pick you up and turn you over.
I never saw you fall in that show, but I saw Ben fall a couple of times.
Oh my gosh. I think it's 3 times now. There's going to be more. So I'm not fooling myself, but there's going to be more. But yeah.
I'm so surprised when going into falling, when Ben used to jump around and do those kicks and flips, not flips, but the kicks and stuff. And the little guy, that guy that you said with the blonde hair that does it, he really gets pumped into it.
Yes. Yeah, they're two very different kickers.
Yeah. Well, Ben went down.
Oh my God, when Ben would do it, it would just make me laugh so hard. Oh, that was amazing. Just watching the kick. Oh, it was great.
But anyway,
Those were the days. Yeah.
Well, yeah, those were the days. But so Comedy Warehouse, can you tell people about it and why it was canceled? Obviously, they did the whole refurbishment of Disney,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
downtown Disney to Disney Springs and stuff. But why was it canceled? I heard that, and you can correct this that if there was wrong, that they got rid of that too because there was issues with gangs or something in that area too. Is that
You know
true?
what? Okay, no, I don't think that's why they got rid of Pleasure Island or Comedy Warehouse. There was
Okay.
a rumor down. This was a couple of years before. I think it shut down, and they were talking about like gangs. And the thing is like at Comedy Warehouse when I was working out there, you would have like a show off. So I would go down to Marketplace or wherever and go to like get coffee. Like they had that.
Yeah.
It was like that Joffrey's or whatever, and they
Yeah.
had like
Yeah.
coffee because I'm just a coffee addict. So I'd go get one. I never saw anything happening down there, but I heard rumors.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I don't think that had anything to do with it. That might be one of those kind of rumors out there. But again, I don't know. You would ask me to tell people what Comedy Warehouse was. It was a show. We had 5 shows, 4 or 5 shows a night. It was 18 and over, and it was an improv comedy show. So we made up the whole show based on what the audience gave us. It usually opened with a phone call. There were phones on the wall. So there were like 4 levels, and I think there were either 3 or 4 phones. If you happen to be sitting by one of those phones and it rings at the beginning of the show, somebody would answer the phone, we would interview them, and then we'd start the show with a song about them. And then we just made up the whole show, and then usually ended with a song as well, like a blues or there was a song, we did a country song called Ghost, where again, we would probably get like a story of something that went wrong instead of, and then we made up so we'd usually open with a song and end with a song. So that was fun because it was just making it up. And I don't know, trying to go back to your question about why they closed it. I don't think it had anything to do with like crime. I just think if I had to, and this is just me guessing, was trying to keep up with everything else going in town, maybe it needed a refresh. Just the area down there, you know what I mean?
Right,
and if
right,
you've
right.
been down to Disney Springs, I get it. I loved Comedy Warehouse. I could have done it forever and ever. I was sad to see it go. That was like the gig. But then I go down to Disney Springs and I'm like, wow, this place is amazing. I can see how whoever made the decision they did, why they did it.
Right.
And who knows if
Well, they wanted to compete with City Walk, probably.
probably just everything. And again, they, it's like talking about when you go to shopping places, I'm just going to take it on a tangent for a second. Sorry, Rob. But I mean, when you look at like malls or whatever, people want that outdoor shopping. They want the dining. They want a place they can go with their whole family. And at Pleasure Island, like you said, you were a kid, so you couldn't go. You could go if your parents would let you go in.
Well, they had all the nightclubs over there. I think there was 4 or 5 nightclubs too, or something.
Yeah, because they had 8 tracks, they had BET, they had a long time ago Neon Armadillo. I can't remember what it was turned into, but they had dance clubs for adults. So who knows what information or feedback they got from people saying, hey, we'd love to have a family place to go at night. And I mean, you look down there, it's beautiful.
Right.
It'd be awesome if eventually one day, if they want to put Comedy Club back down there, I don't know. And then you had Adventurous Club across the street that people loved too, which was like, it was immersive, it was interactive. They had scripts, but they did improv too. And so you just had 2 pretty awesome clubs right across from each other that were comedy clubs. So who knows if that's something later on, but I can't answer exactly why they did that. That's my guesstimation, was that they were going with trends and asking people what they wanted.
Yeah.
And then they did it.
But you did that for quite a while, right?
I did it for a few years. I think I was there maybe 5.5, 6 years. I like to close
decent
shifts.
amount of time. Yeah. But then when they had the one, when they had the Christmas one in Hollywood Studios, that was, you were in that.
Yes.
And that was, what did that go on? Went on for a couple of years too.
I think we did it 2
or 3 years or something.
I think it was 3 years. And I think 1 year we did it at the Hyperion Theater. in that big.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
That big old
Yeah.
stage, and I remember thinking, how is this going to work? Because usually, like improv or something, I'm just used to doing it on a smaller stage and all that stuff, and it worked.
But that
It
was
totally
after
worked.
Idol closed. They did that.
Yes. Yeah. So
Yeah,
they
but
had
before that, they
something-
were another.
Oh my gosh! And you know what else? Maybe it was 4 years because we did it one time. There was that theater next door that was Sounds Dangerous. Because it's like
Yeah,
a
okay, yeah, over
area.
there.
Yeah, we did it. That might have been the first year that we did it. And
The
then I
Drew
think we did
Carey.
it 2 years over at the other stage.
Yeah, the one they knocked down. Yeah.
Yes. So we did it there too.
Yeah, you're right. Then it must
So
have
it might
been 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was the same show, but it was a little bit different show because we needed to edit it for
Your
family.
kids.
Again, like I said, we weren't going blue or anything, but when it was 18 and over, it was like a lot of double entendres. But so we needed to, change it up just a little bit, make it a little bit more family friendly
Right.
for the parks. Yeah.
So do you still talk to a lot of people that you worked with at Comedy Warehouse and Idol in general?
Yeah. Okay. So I just did a gig with Mark Daniel yesterday where we dressed as Christmas elves. I love me some Mark. And then we also, a few of us, there is an improv theater downtown called SAC, which if anybody's listening, I highly recommend. I love me some SAC. It's all improv. And Mark will be down there. And then Robbie Pygott will be down there. Robbie was from Comedy Warehouse. Mike Carr, who did some of our shows with the Christmas show. He's down at SAC. But you still see all these people around. We're all a community and we all know each other and we can all get in contact with each other. And even though we might not see each other for a while, there's still that camaraderie in family.
Yeah, but do you do shows together? Like with, I know you say you did one with Mark Daniel yesterday, rather.
You know, like an improv show downtown.
Yeah, do you guys like do like a group? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, wow. No, that'd be something for me. I would enjoy that.
Yeah,
can
and
go
like
down there.
Robbie, and then Layden Sadecki, who was from Comedy Warehouse. I've done several shows with him at SAC. So that's a place where we can all kind of get together. And then Mark subs the show that I do now. So every once in a while I
Yeah,
get to
I saw
work
that.
in that capacity, which is always a hoot. Yeah, Jim Doyle, who actually trained me into Mulch, Sweat, and Shears as a sub.
Mhm.
I get to work with him in the show I'm in now. I've done improv shows with him as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, we all kind of stay connected.
All right, very good. So we'll end with that. I know we jumped
Okay.
all over the place.
Oh yeah.
So
Like
there's a
funny
lot of
thing.
editing that has to be done, but
Go
it
get a
is.
cast on your arm because I just broke it.
So as we end, Lisa Glaze, can you tell people where they can find more information about you or even find you? Obviously, you said SAC, downtown Orlando. Do you do it on certain nights? But in general, how can people find more about you?
I'm trying to get more involved with SAC stuff. Usually I do Friday nights. Probably
Mhm.
going to start picking up some Friday and Saturday nights. That doesn't mean I'm there every
Yeah.
weekend because sometimes I'm doing private gigs somewhere else. I try to keep busy or else I'll go crazy. And then I am at a show about snow at a theme park during the week.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I get it now. You know, I didn't know what the hell you were talking about for a second until you said at a theme park during the week.
As far as like a social media presence, I'm not interesting. So I don't really keep up with that stuff. Like I'm
Yeah.
on Facebook, but I barely get on it. Usually when I'm on Facebook, I don't even see everybody's stuff. For some reason, I don't, even though I opened it
You're not
up, like
missing
trying to
much.
go in and do the Facebook thing where it's like, why am I only seeing certain stuff? And they've still, whatever the algorithm is, has kept me
Yeah.
from stuff. And basically I get animal abuse petitions that I sign on a daily basis. So that's what I'm good for. And yeah, I don't really Instagram a lot. I'm not on the TikTok. I don't understand it. I'm so old.
I don't need
But I don't think anybody wants to find me. So I
Well,
just
fair
live in my
enough.
bubble. I live in my bubble.
Well, we know where to find you. Lisa, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm sorry I took up so much of your time.
We have Johnny, we have Lisa, we have Philip, and we have Mary. You, sir, what's your first name? John begins with J. Raise your hand if you know another word that begins with J. Hands up. We're going to do this a lot. Right there. You, sir. Jim. Okay? It's another name. Somebody put the word Jim into a short sentence. Someone back there. Raise your hand if you can do that. Right there, sir. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Jim went to the ballpark.
Thank you. Jim went to the ballpark.
He
So you said
did.
that happens to be our favorite poem.
Awesome.
A poem we're going to do now, we will never ever do again. A poem we like to call
Jim went to the ballpark.
Here we go.
No, it's over.
Here we go.
This is a story about a boy named Jim.
Who went to a ballpark.
The getting there was kind of tough.
He had bad eyes and he couldn't see in the dark.
And it was nighttime when Jim went.
He got on the wrong subway.
And found himself in a deserted station.
In the end of the day.
Heard a rat scramble by.
But nobody was around.
Only a few shadows that disappeared.
Little rats all over the ground.
Suddenly a man with a hood and a scythe. Jim, come with me.
That's right, death was knocking on his door.
He took him down to Avenue D.
And showed him all of his dead friends.
Which was fun.
Jim said, I'm not ready, Death.
My life isn't done.
Prove to me you'd be of worth up there.
Do a good deed.
So Jim turned and saw a blind woman.
And gave her a carrot. She was in need.
That's right, Jim couldn't see, that's why he had one in his pocket.
But the carotene did well for the lady.
And soon her eyesight got better.
She could see and she met a man named Grady.
Death was impressed by this deed.
Took him back uptown.
Said thank you for the little spark you gave me.
Keep on motoring down.
By 15 minutes, he had arrived.
There it was, hark.
And that's the title of the poem.
Violent Jim went to the ballpark.
Oh, yeah.